Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hi, welcome to the February 14th edition of Basis Loaded with Joe Schmit. I am Joe Schmit. This episode, as always, is produced by Paige Driscoll with the help of the EverAg Insights team. Hopefully this is not the highlight of your Valentine's Day, but just in case it is, let's dive right in, starting with butter. This butter number came in at 274.81. That represents a minus 2.5 to the CME 1 week average of 277.20. Negative basis, too lower rather than too higher. A little unusual for butter, which tracks fairly closely to the CME. Now, granted, the CME was up 15 cents week to week. NDPSR had a tough time keeping pace. I think it's interesting to note that at the CME we traded 12 loads, so pretty good volume at the CME. Last week's NDPSR number was revised up just a shade, and they added 400,000 pounds. So last week, almost 1 million pounds over our expected 3.5 million sales volume. Looks like some of that was taken away from this week, because this week, negative basis and only 3.1 million. So volume falling short of our expected 3.5 million. Basis certainly falling short as well, coming in at minus 2.5. All in all, pretty rough sledding for the butter complex in this new price neighborhood of the high 270s. Up next in cheese, we'll start with the blocks. 158.86. That is a really nice price. That is a plus 7 to the CME 1 week average of 151.20. We traded 2 loads on the CME last week. Not a whole lot to report there. The CME was up 3 cents week to week. Here on the NDPSR, up about 4.5. So NAS moving a little bit quicker than the NDPSR. It's interesting, next week's CME weekly average is up an additional 13 cents. So for those of you that are on the 1 week lag in the block, this might be a disappointing number. For me, it's a little bit better than expected. But even at that better than expected price, volume once again falling short of the 12.5 million pound threshold. This is now many weeks. 10 weeks that we've fallen under the 12.5 million pound threshold. Sales volume in the block complex continues to lag. In the barrels, however, 154.72, that represents a plus 5 to the CME 2 week average of 149.85. We traded 9 loads on the CME last week. Fairly decent volume on the CME last week, and that volume translates here to the NDPSR. So plus 5 positive basis, right in the middle of our 4 to 6 cent positive basis expectation. And at that level, almost 600,000 pounds over our expected 13.5 NDPSR sales volume. So average basis on higher than expected volume in the block, and this is the first week off the low on the CME 2 week average. So as the barrels trended higher, at least for week 1, buyer activity correlated and was also strong. So we'll see on the push, the continued push higher in the weeks to come, if the sales volume and basis remains firm. Next up is the whey, 44.98. That is a plus 1 to the CME 1 week average of 43.80. We traded 3 loads at the CME last week, so not a whole lot of volume there to report. 44.98, of course, relative to the January 27th NDPSR of 43.62, up over a penny on prior week's NDPSR on higher than expected sales. Almost 1.1 million, more than 1.1 million pounds over our expected 4.5 sales volume. NDPSR sales volume continues to run strong on this price increase now to the mid 40s. Certainly impressive for dry whey that we've been able to see this volume maintain and actually maintain above expected levels as the sales price reaches new highs. Very interesting. We'll see. It looks like the CME has taken a pause at the 50-ish cent level. It'll be interesting to see what relationship we have to the CME on the NDPSR in the weeks to come. And then lastly, non-fat, 122.46. That's a +3, really nice basis. 3-cent positive basis. 3 cents over the CME 1 week average of 119.60. However, once again, good basis does not necessarily mean good sales. Only just a little bit north of 16 million pounds. So falling well short of our expected 20 million pound sales volume in non-fat. However, we were able to print a +3 positive basis. So this is week 2 of the February 4-week pricing cycle. Currently getting a February class 3 of 16.12, February class 4 all the way up at 20.05. We've had a little bit of a up and then down in cheese at the CME. So if you carry current CME equivalents out through the entirety of the March 5-week pricing cycle, currently getting a March class 3, 1635, March class 4, 1980. This is the final NDPSR episode prior to a 1-week hiatus. I will be back for the Feb final, and by then we should have a really good idea where that 5-week March is expected to come in. Until then, on behalf of Paige and the entire EverAg Insights team, I'm Joe. Thanks so much. Talk soon. Bye.